In this episode, I'm talking to Lee, a physical therapist from Florida. Lee has struggled with POTS for most of her life, which was made worse when she contracted coronavirus. Tune in to hear her recommendations for people who suffer POTS-like symptoms as a result of COVID-19. You're listening to Real COVID Stories with Ivy Lane. The media numbers don't show the full story. Millions of people around the world have been sick for months and months on end. This podcast serves to share their stories, real stories of how people's lives have changed, stories of the daily struggles, the prejudice, the pain, the triumph, the funny, and more. Hi everyone, it's Ivy Lane here, and today we're talking to Lee from Florida. Hi Lee.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great.
So you had coronavirus. When did you first get sick?
I was sick on March 21st,
Mm-hmm.
probably around 1 p.m.
Wow.
I can tell you right when it happened. Yeah, it was pretty early on for us over here, and especially on the east coast of Florida.
That's roundabout. I got sick that week as well.
On that week. Oh, great.
Yeah, I know. I think that's before everything started locking down everywhere.
It was before.
Yeah. So what was your life like pre-COVID?
Oh gosh. It was pretty well, I thought it was difficult, but it was actually really simple. Now that I look back, I would love to get it back. I mean, friends, family, outings. Gosh, I worked full time, had plenty of work, sometimes had to turn it away. I was pretty healthy. I have a condition called POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome.
Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah, so a lot of people with post-COVID are coming down with POTS. So had that for about 20 something years, and I've been managing that. So I was doing fairly healthy, just managing my POTS and living life. I mean, it was good.
Yeah. So is that like a tachycardia where your heart flutters, sort
Yes.
of?
Well, it's not a cardiac issue. It's actually a neurological issue.
Okay.
And what happens is you might have heard of your autonomic nervous system. We can go back to school. And it controls everything that you don't have to think about, like your temperature, your blood pressure, all that. So somebody with POTS like me, when we stand up, our blood pulls down into our legs and we don't have enough blood volume, and our nervous system doesn't contract the vessels in our legs to push the blood back up into our heart, our brain, and we get very lightheaded, dizzy. A lot of other symptoms come with that: migraines, brain fog,
All the
difficulty
fun stuff.
controlling. Yes, a lot of post-COVID type things. We get hot easily, don't do well with temperature, like heat. So managing that was a work, but I had it under control before COVID.
Yeah. And then everything changed.
And then it changed.
So when you got sick, when did you first think that it was something not normal? That it was
March 21st at 1 p.m. I mean,
What
honestly,
happened?
well, because for me, I just never got sick. I was like, if I got a cold, it lasted for about a day and a half, and people were, around me were like 2 weeks. So I always had such a great immune system beforehand. And this was different. I never got the sore throat, runny nose, sneezing. This went right to my lungs. It was within
Oh, really?
hours. Yeah, it was the strangest thing, and I still feel it. I still get the sensations of what happened March 21st. Um, but I got this utter fatigue, and then right away it was like a burning in my lungs and a cough. And I thought, wait a minute, there's no way, that I have this. There's no way. And in the middle of a pandemic with these sort of things going on, it made me start thinking right away, oh gosh, do I have this? And it pretty much went downhill, from there. But it was very quick. It wasn't a subtle thing. I mean, it was a fatigue for 2 hours and then bam, right into my lungs. Yeah.
Wow. Every time I
I mean,
talk to someone and hear how different it is, it's
yeah,
just
that's the
yummy.
amazing part of this is, there's no necessarily rhyme or reason or cookie cutter type of response. We're all so different.
Yeah, which I mean the standard symptoms that they look for. How many people actually
Right.
and in that order
Yeah.
and all at once.
Yeah, right. And to have like just like someone who's always, I was very active. I mean, I could run 5 miles, or maybe not 5 miles, but close to, 3 to 5, let's just say. But I exercised all the time, as a big exercise. I'm a physical therapist, a big exerciser. So, to have something with my lungs all of a sudden happen was really scary.
So when you said they were burning, what
Yeah.
did that feel like?
I mean, it felt like I could feel my lungs. Like I could actually outline where my lungs were. It's really a weird sensation, but it was like a heaviness, a burning, and then this terrible, like dry cough. Almost, I don't want to say croupy cough, but it's a weird cough. It's not just a cough. It's like this hoarseness that comes out of the cough. And that happened, I mean, that was within hours of being tired. And then like I said, that was on a Saturday at 1, and then it just went downhill from there. Like that Sunday, I knew something wasn't right. My fever, back then you had to have like 100.4 temp to get tested, and I was like 99.7, and it wasn't considered a temp, which is crazy to me. And so but I was lucky. I'm in a healthcare field, and here we were able to get tested if you didn't have that temp, only if you were in the healthcare field.
Yes. I mean, at the time I understood why they were saving the tests for healthcare workers. But
But
it would have been great if we had been all tested early on in a timely manner.
it would have been nice. It would have been nice. But there were some faults. I mean, we can always look back, in hindsight, right? And look back at things.
Well, I mean, I think as well how well the humans have responded so rapidly. Like we've adapted very, very quickly, really.
Yes. And we're still adapting, really. Sometimes denial.
But with the lung burning, I haven't heard anyone say they had lung burning yet, but I had it for not that long, and I felt like I was breathing through a blanket of acid, or like there was acid on me, and every breath I took was just I could visualize vinegar. Like
yes. Yeah. And that's it. I mean, I literally felt like the burning, the outline of my lungs. I could feel where they were. And I've never felt anything like that before. Like I've never had a cold to feel that way. So this is not a cold, this wasn't the flu. And the other weird sensation that came on really early, which is still puzzling, is I get like throat tightening and crazy head pressures, not migraines. I'm a migrainer, but I get this sensation of like maybe when you're flying up in an airplane and the pressure gets really heavy, and that goes into my head and then sometimes into my ear on the left. But that's a really weird one that we're still trying to not sure what's happening. Never had.
You're the third person I've spoken to who had that. I didn't get that. But
really? So I've never heard of that. And most of the doctors are puzzled. They don't know what's happening or why it's happening. And because it's the one thing that stayed up until now. But after if you want to say recovered, which I haven't, but I thought I recovered.
The worst of the worst.
Well, the worst of the worst, and then the flares started. But the throat closing and the head pressures were daily, daily, all the time. It was pretty annoying, but I could live with it. But still no answers into why.
Well, hopefully they start finding out soon.
Will give us about 2 or 5 more years.
Hopefully we're all over it by then.
Right. Just we need answers. We still need answers.
So your test was positive, was it?
Actually, it wasn't. So interesting with me, I was tested that Monday. So again, hindsight, it was very, very early, number one. Number two, the swab was in my nose for about 3 seconds, which I thought was fine, but later was told by another nurse it was supposed to be at least a 10-second swab, preferably 20, which that didn't happen. And unfortunately, I found out that my actual sample went to a couple different states and it was refrigerated. and it
Right.
took 10 days before they tested it.
Mm.
So it was no longer valid because unfortunately it had to be frozen after 72 hours, according
Right.
to the CDC. And from what I understood from the lab, mine was not. So the result
Was not.
was no. And I was very lucky to have a doctor who diagnosed me
Mhm.
with COVID
Yeah.
without a positive test. That was
Yeah.
really hard. And I think it was about day 7 when he said, I think you have COVID,
Yeah. Well,
despite whatever the test was going to say.
yes.
Great
Well,
doctor.
and I mean, any healthcare worker worth their weight knows you don't just look at a test result, you look at the symptoms.
Right. But back then they weren't doing that. I mean, it was you had the test and you were I mean, I was told to go back to work, and the thing is you don't feel well,
Mm,
something's wrong,
mm,
especially with someone who's relatively healthy, barely ever had a cold, and all of a sudden this is happening to you.
mm.
It was like, "What?" So, it was a little shocking, to be honest with you. I mean, the whole journey was shocking from the beginning. It was like a failure with the testing that
Mhm.
was not really talked about.
No,
And
I
even
know it wasn't talked about, and that's what I think part of the problem. People have too much faith in these tests, even though they're
yes, not understanding the false negatives and just things that
and
can
even at
happen.
its best, 70% accuracy. If it's
Exactly.
done within the certain time frame that it can actually pick it up.
And that's the thing. You could be negative one day and I could have gone 2 days later and then it
Positive.
could have been, but we didn't know that either. It was like you got one shot, one test.
Mm.
You didn't get to go back every couple days like you can now.
Yeah, yeah,
So things are different now than they were back in
yeah.
March.
But lucky you had that doctor who
I
diagnosed
do.
you.
I'm very
Makes
lucky.
such a
Yes.
difference. I actually
Yes.
had somebody online, a doctor, a functional medicine doctor, who was the first person to believe me, just in a group that I am, and that just made all the difference. He's like, "You are textbook case," and I'm
Yes.
like, "Thank you."
Yes.
And I mean, my personal GP, he was wonderful. He said, we can't test, we don't know, but we're going to act like it is."
Right.
And
And
anything
even
that
the
came up,
diagnosis of the post-COVID, same thing,
yeah,
to sit there and say a post-COVID, but yet you had a negative test. I mean, that takes a lot, for a
I
doctor to say that.
know.
Right. So, to me, I just feel blessed to have this person in my life to be able to help me along the best we can because we're still learning.
Yeah.
This is new. And that's really important for us to remember. We're all in this together and we're trying to learn and hopefully learn from each other,
Yeah,
right?
well, I think that's what's great about the groups that we're a part of, is that, seeing other people
Yeah.
going through it and then going, okay, this is what helped, and that mental support. I wish those groups were there when I
Yes.
was first sick, because I found it so isolating.
Right. It is very isolating. I mean, literally, you're in a room by yourself. I mean, it was isolating, and we didn't know. I mean, to me, I was still I don't know how long you were symptomatic, but mine was, a month before I started to feel better.
Yeah, I was 6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah. So
So,
the 6 week mark, no, I didn't start. Oh, yeah, no, I guess I was over that, the very, very worst, but it
worse.
still went on, for another 2
Yes.
weeks.
Yes. Yeah. And it still goes. I mean, it's been 8.5 months for us. And I mean, the journey's still going. We're not
Still
done.
going, no?
Still going.
So I am on an upward trajectory. Like,
Oh, that's good.
I'm really, really good compared to a lot of other people. So
Yeah. Well, consider yourself very lucky.
yes, yeah, I've got a great team of people, and I've got a lot of resources at my, fingertips that I can use.
Yeah.
So I'm certain that's, made a big difference.
Yes. Huge difference.
Yeah. So what was your general experience? So sort of explain it. The symptoms. So after the lungs, what sort of followed on after that?
Well, I mean, of course, I had actually had the loss of taste for a couple days before that came out in the news. So that was another big clue that maybe, that this was COVID. Um, so, for me, I have POTS, like I said. So with a lot of people who get sick with an infection with POTS, our heart rate goes up dramatically. So POTS is defined by an increase of heart rate of 30 beats or more from a lying down position to a standing position. And it's an intoleration. You just can't tolerate the standing position very well when you have POTS. So when I would stand up, all of a sudden my heart rate was going to 180, 205. So that was super hard. Yeah, it was really hard. I mean, it was shocking hard. Like I didn't know what was happening to my body. It was like I was out of control. So that was starting to, I don't want to say progress. It was actually a regression. And then it's just, the cough. It was really the cough, the fevers, and then the throat closures, the brain, the POTS activation. Oh gosh. And then it got better. And then it got worse again. It's been like this up and down thing. About a month ago, I had another, I don't know, I guess I called a flare. I actually thought I had COVID again. I'm sure a lot of people here thought, is this it? It's like a deja vu, right?
It's kind of like this, I'm here.
Yes, like
Who are you?
don't get too happy. Don't go to bed on me. I'm going to wake you up. And my goodness, it did. And I have the burning in the chest again, wheezing, just shortness of breath when I try to do something. The cough came back, and then I got shingles.
Yeah,
I was like, "What is this? Are you kidding me?"
that doesn't
So
surprise me.
I was just like, "There, what more can we add?" And then I thought, "Oh, don't say that anymore because
Yeah, because
something's going to happen." Right, right. So it's really just the immune system is on overdrive,
yeah.
is what's happening, and it just doesn't know when to shut down.
Mm.
And for me, there's moments where it starts to shut down, and then something revs it back up.
Yeah.
So one thing with COVID is they are finding that it can reactivate these dormant viruses like
Yeah.
shingles. So, and plus stress. Stress
ABV
doesn't help. Yeah.
no. Well, it's all stressful. It's stressful on every level.
It is extremely,
And
and even just not knowing,
yeah,
you know,
not
level.
knowing where it's going to go and how bad it's going to get.
Yeah, yeah. So it's been like, well, it's still going crazy. Like I'm still going, okay, what's next? What's coming up?
Yeah, yeah.
So I wish to say I am recovered. And there was a time where I thought I'm 95% there, and then bam.
Comes out.
And then I made like, I would say a 60% decline all of a sudden, like a month ago. So I'm still working on this, doing what I can to control it the
I
best I can.
think it's like expect the unexpected.
Yes, exactly. Just
Like
go
running
with the
events
flow.
or
It
having
is just,
children.
yeah, just go with the flow.
So my middle child, she was the sickest out of my children,
Oh,
and she actually had a flare up last week. So her
huh,
worst symptoms was severe abdominal pain, like
okay.
screaming,
Yes.
like everything twisting and stabbing, and just randomly last week, out of the blue, she went through it all again.
See?
And because I'm aware of these symptoms coming back short term,
Right.
like I was really worried because, it sounds a lot like appendicitis symptoms. So there's always that, do I take her to hospital? Do I not? And at the time when it first happened, I couldn't because we were all contagious.
Right.
um,
Right.
but,
Nobody could go to the hospital.
yeah, we couldn't. And then if
Yeah.
she'd went without me, I couldn't, well, I didn't want to operate it on without me being, like it was horrible at the time. But, this time I had that knowledge to go, okay, this is most likely just your corona symptom coming back, and it will go, and it did.
Right.
It
Well, it's interesting because I had an attack this week like I've never had in my upper stomach, and I've never had that before. And it was like 45 minutes of almost childbirth. I mean, it was breathing, husband rubbing your back. It was almost like you're in labor, but it was pretty intense. And you're like, now what is this? What's happening?
So
So
where was that pain?
it was like right below my sternum, right
Okay.
below it. And I mean, it was like a ball there, and it was intense. Like I was about 15 minutes away from let's go to the ER. I was trying to push through it and see, what if I can handle it. I didn't want to go to the hospital, but yeah, I mean, I go for an upper GI on Monday because of
Wow.
it.
Okay.
So it just doesn't seem to like end.
No.
It's like, what are we going to find? Yeah. And then, probably a lot of people, the frustrating part is a lot of things, they have these symptoms and they go for testing and it's normal.
Comes
Everything's
back
normal.
normal. Yes,
Yeah. That's hard.
it is
It is
hard.
hard because you want to know what's wrong. And in a way, you kind of need justification
Yeah,
of
that
what's
it's not
wrong
in,
with you.
yeah.
It's not in your head. And of course, with POTS, most people are told it's anxiety years and years before they ever get diagnosed. So most of them already have issues, you're not being heard or being misunderstood. So it's kind of ingrained in our brains to like, not to not trust doctors, but it's just hard when for so long you were so not well
Mhm.
and people just try to say, you just needed to chill or relax. And, that's kind of what I grew up with, so to
Mhm.
speak, from 30 to 47 years old before my POTS diagnosis. You
Yeah.
just kind of, and then you finally get the diagnosis and you're like, see,
Yeah,
I
a lot
told
of
you,
crazy. Yep.
told you so.
Yes, and I think that's what a lot of people are finding. And with the test, I guess the way that I think about the scans and the tests is that they're not designed to be picking up what needs to be picked up, and
And that is interesting. Hmm.
eventually they will get to a point where they can they know what they're looking for. There's a lot of research out there that is showing what to look for, but it's not
Yep,
widespread access to that yet.
exactly. The testing itself, or even just the education in the medical
Mhm.
field to know to look for that. So maybe we'll be in the history books.
I'm sure we will. No, because I asked my doctor for a ultrasound of my heart, and he just
Mhm.
said, "Look, I can't even order that for you. I don't have access."
There's no
Yeah.
he doesn't have it, or there's just no
Oh, I'm sure I
justification.
could, but no, I'm sure there is. You can get it done, but he wasn't able to order it for me, and
Okay.
so all of my heart tests were normal. All of
Yes.
my stuff was normal.
Yes. Yes.
Which at the time
And
was a great peace of mind.
yeah,
I like,
it's a
okay,
good peace of mind, but then there's that, okay, then what are we missing?
yes, yeah, but I
You
couldn't
know,
go there.
what are we missing? Because I'm still feeling this way. What's happening?
Yes,
That's the hard part.
yeah, yeah. I think for me, I was just like, okay, if I haven't just had a heart attack, that means I can come. I don't need to stay in hospital, and I can be with my children.
True.
That was
Yes, you can
what
rule
I.
out the major issues.
Yeah,
Exactly. And
yeah.
that is true. And that's what the doctors are doing. They're trying to rule out, the pulmonary embolisms and
Mhm.
the strokes and the inflammation of the heart and stuff like that. Trying to
Which
rule that
some
out.
people are actually,
Mhm.
that the tests are actually picking up.
Yeah.
For some people.
Yeah, there's a lot of really crazy things that are going on, and before we just thought it was a lung thing, but it's
Mm,
really a full body.
your body,
It's a
yeah.
full body, I think, attack is what I call it. But
Mhm.
depending on who you are, and we don't know why, why one person this and somebody else has that. I don't know. We don't know.
No, it's a mystery.
It's a
Problem to be
mystery.
solved.
Yes, exactly. The history books, maybe.
So we've already covered your experience was like a roller coaster.
Yes, still is.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Did you find that mentally draining? The thinking you're getting better, and then.
Oh, I think it's the hardest part.
Mm,
I mean, for me, that is by far like I feel like good. And the
mm,
next minute, I'm almost feel like I'm getting back to ground zero. I
mhm,
have no control over it. We
mm,
still don't know what or why. Yeah, I mean, it's exhausting. I mean, I,
mm,
I have to admit, there are times I've sat in my bed and just cried.
mm,
I just cried. And then there's others just, I feel like I realize how strong I am because of everything
mm.
I've gone through. I didn't think I could do this. And you know what? It's not over. So whatever happens, bring it on. I'm going to keep fighting,
Wait.
still here.
I think that's a really good way of looking at it, the resilience that this is going to build. And there are times where you're like, I cannot do this anymore, but you do.
You do. And that's the truth. It's the truth. Yeah, I agree with you. It is this utter mental fatigue. And of course the other part is we don't have the contact with people and that we used to. I mean, you're not with your friends where you can be right next to them and go out and go to the spa or have a drink of wine with them. I mean, that's all changed. And I don't know about you, but for 8.5 months, I haven't seen my friends. I've talked to them, haven't seen them.
Yeah.
So it's just not
Wow.
natural. So you have the mental part, you have the social changes that are going on. I mean, I tried to do my part in this whole
Mm-hmm.
thing. So I know if something's not necessary, I'm probably not going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
got to keep myself healthy and my family healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to keep everybody else healthy.
Yeah.
I'm in the medical field. I got to keep my patients healthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that for me, I put my family into isolation before. As soon as I started getting sick, I was like, no, we are all in
You,
isolation. And
you did your part.
it was really hard. It was real because I couldn't
Hmm.
get food, and then
Oh,
yeah, it was, my son ended up being the go-getter because he seemingly didn't get sick. In hindsight, he was slightly sick, but he was wearing a mask before there was any masks.
wow.
And I was ringing up the hotline every day, like, this is what's happening to me. Is he allowed to go out? He's,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. And they weren't delivering. I couldn't get deliveries either.
Food.
So it was,
Wow. The struggle. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you. I remember the day when I first walked out to the mailbox. It was like freedom. It was like one of the biggest days for me. I was all excited. I got the mail. I was out of my room. I saw sunshine for about 2 minutes. Oh, it was great. One
so
of the
did
best
you get
months.
sick and nobody else in your family did?
Apparently, nobody else did. I mean, I isolated in my room right
Yeah.
away. But, we don't know. I mean, my kids are younger. Did they get sick? And yeah, the non-carriers or, their little runny nose, was that it? I
Yeah.
mean, we don't know. My husband had a couple days where he had a really bad stomach. Was that it?
Yeah.
He couldn't get tested. So
Mm-hmm.
it didn't matter that way. He because of his work did have to stay home. He was not allowed to go to work. So he
Mm-hmm.
did stay home, but it was nice to have him cook. Well, he cooks a lot, but he brought the food to me in the bed. That was nice. That's the only nice part of the whole thing.
It was all just a ruse to get food delivered to bed.
Yeah, there it is. That's what it's all about. You got my gimmick up right there.
My children's dad works in emergency, and they've actually had a study done, and I'm very keen to hear the results, where they've tested all the healthcare people who didn't get sick.
Oh, for antibodies?
Yeah, to see if they
Yes.
actually had antibodies. So, I mean,
Right.
he ended up having a long time off work because when there was no PPE and he's too vulnerable. But then he went back. But, I saw him the week that I started getting sick.
Right.
So
Yeah.
did I get it from him because I saw
Yeah.
him the week before because he was
Yeah.
working with people? Did I give it to him and he just
Yeah.
didn't get sick? So
Yeah.
I'm really
I mean,
keen to hear those results.
there's so many ways that we could have had it, and I probably think I know how I got it, but ultimately it doesn't really matter,
Doesn't matter.
at the end. It doesn't. So, I mean, it wasn't like anybody's fault or anything intentionally, done. It was just we're in a beginning of a pandemic
And
and we
it's
didn't know
so
what was going
contagious.
on. Yeah. Yeah.
I think we've realized that in my state, how contagious it is, when
Mhm.
they got it under control. And then they opened a shopping center, and I don't remember the number of people, but one person went to the shopping center and there was quite a big cluster just from the shopping center.
Just from the shopping center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
think
it sounds like
the
you guys
more,
are doing it right with the shutting down things and trying to,
yeah,
I should
I think
say,
we're
I think there's a safe way of doing it. Let me just say that. I don't think everything has to be completely shut down, but it's just really, it's about like wearing the mask. It's a simple little thing. Let's wear the mask.
Yeah, well, it's still compulsory here in most circumstances, and I have heard rumors that as of tomorrow we don't have to wear the mask.
Wow.
We can be outside now as long as you don't come within 1.5 meters. We don't have to wear a mask.
Okay. Okay.
People do,
Yeah. Yeah.
I still wear mine.
Yes. Yes.
Pick up
So you have to wear it even when you're outside walking, even if nobody's around. Okay.
And
We
that's
do
what it
not.
was. That's last 2 weeks that's been
Okay.
left. So
Okay.
literally, if you stepped outside your house, your in your own yard was okay. You had to be wearing a mask.
Wow. Well, Florida's a little different. We're not quite there.
I think our population size makes a big difference to be able to implement this sort of stuff. It's a lot, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of cases, and I think it just really comes down, I hate to say it, to how our, the politicians, how they're running each state. So with us, we just seem to have an open state policy for the most part. And, you don't have to wear a mask. You can't get in trouble for not wearing your mask anywhere. So you just hope people have, I believe, enough compassion for each other to wear a mask. I mean, it's pretty simple. And that's kind of how I look at it. Like, if you don't like it, just do it for somebody else, just have compassion.
Yeah. A lot of people don't.
Yeah. I think that's probably the hardest thing. Well, one of the hardest things is seeing maybe the lack of compassion, anger out there. I don't know. I don't understand it.
Yeah. Well, I think people, if they've not experienced something, it's very hard.
I agree with you. I think until they're in somebody else's shoes, maybe they have to be there. Or maybe they had a light case of COVID, so everybody else should, they did well with it. So
yeah, it's not. I've actually seen some posts about it, like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah, but maybe to have the empathy to see what somebody else is going through, to go, I would hate to do that to somebody. Even it's not all about ourselves.
Yes,
it's about each other, I guess, is what I want to say.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was just thinking then with, I think probably with our healthcare system, because we have free healthcare, the cost to the state and the nation for lots of people ending up in ICU would have been huge. And that was probably a big driver for the strict rules, whereas you guys have to pay for everything.
Sure. Absolutely.
So
you're right.
That would make a huge difference.
Yeah, the motivation's a little different on that end.
Politicians are like, this is costing us.
Yeah.
Shut it down.
Money. Right. And for them, it's costing us to shut down the state. It would cost us, but, I try to feel like, or try to say, like, our health, if we're not in good health, then the economy is not going to do well. It does go that way. And people think we just bring up the economy and the economy goes 100% and that's going to be great. But what we're finding is that people aren't going to be healthy in that. So I think there's in my opinion, there should be a little bit of a common ground, just, some common sense, just mask and social distance, it's pretty simple.
And hand sanitizer.
Wash your hands.
Do you guys have hand sanitizers everywhere?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm in the medical field. We have buckets of them. We ran out of them for a while. Yeah, we couldn't get them initially. Now I stocked up toilet paper, paper towel. I have a basement in Florida, and I'm not one of those hoarders that go to the store and buy 5 things. But when it did come, I would go get 1 pack each time, because I was like, when is this going to happen again? Before we worried about hurricanes. Now I just worry about, this is what we worry about. I don't have enough toilet paper.
That started in my country. You have our country to thank for that.
Yes. Well, I gave my mother thing of toilet paper for Mother's Day, and she said it was the best Mother's Day gift she ever had. And that's the perspective we're living in right now.
I think the drive for that was, like, if you got the GI symptoms for a long time, you would be going through a lot of toilet paper.
Okay, then what about the paper towel? I couldn't get paper towel.
They sold out too.
Yeah,
we were out of paper towels, baby wipes.
Water. I mean, it was like, baby wipes. I mean, but I'm still trying to get Lysol spray. I don't know. Maybe they don't make it anymore. I can't find the regular Lysol.
I don't even know what Lysol spray is.
Really? Okay. Well, it's just pretty it's a disinfectant spray.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't see it anymore. We just still don't have it.
No, we do have it. We have similar, not that brand, but maybe they just went into hand sanitizers and stuff.
Well, that's what I was thinking too, because there's a lot of hand sanitizer now.
Yeah, no, and masks everywhere. Discount.
Right.
So, how has your life changed? I know we covered this a little bit, but
well, there's some good things, like, honestly, I hate to put the negative on everything. And of course, this has been, like, medically, this has not been fun. My body, the changes, it's not been enjoyable. But through this time, I started writing a POTS program for exercise. So I did, yes. And I actually, as of last week, I have it available, which is amazing, because I wanted to take what I know as a PT and what I know about POTS, because I have it and I work with patients with POTS. POTS,
Mm-hmm.
and have an option for them online to do exercises. So exercise is really important because when we build our muscles and our heart, we increase our blood volume, right? So people with POTS have low blood volume. If we increase the muscles in our legs and our core, we are able to then have a way for our muscles to mechanically push on our blood vessels to push the blood back up, right? So it's kind of a long-term management strategy, exercise. And for a lot of people, it's really hard to do. A lot of people with COVID, post-COVID, are with POTS, and it's really hard to exercise.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so it's a 5-month, 5-day-a-week program. I have like 116 exercise videos I did. So they follow me, and it's an educational series. It's just been really fun. I never would have done that if I hadn't had COVID. Never would have done it. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about, even more about POTS, because even though I had it for so long, degree of which it was affecting me with this virus, it just gave me a whole new respect for it. So yeah, that became my baby. I was going to do something good with this, and develop the Exercise with POTS program. So hopefully I can help people out there that are, struggling with their POTS symptoms.
Well, when we make this live, you can share a link for that.
Yes,
A lot
yes.
of people who would benefit from that.
Yes, it's great. It's just something we need. We don't have anything like that. And the exercise, we have to, there's no cure for it. So we have to manage it. And there's ways to manage. And this is one way we can manage. But the thing is, we got to start slowly.
Yes.
Even with COVID, we find that, like, people that are like so chronically fatigued, and you see a lot of chronic fatigue with COVID. So, the point of exercise, first of all, is we got to get our symptoms under control. It might be through medication. Be very important. And then if we choose to exercise, then we have to start slowly. Oh yeah.
And not beat yourself up if you can't continue.
Absolutely not. I mean, I hear people that say, well, I walked around the block for a mile and I was too tired. And I was like, oh no, you got to start in a seated position, not even at standing. We got to start seated, so we got to back up from there. So there's ways to do it without putting yourself in a flare. And a lot of it is really listening to the body. It's very important, because we're all different. What you can handle, what I can handle, we're all different. And then if I'm going through a flare, I might have to go backwards and, start over with certain things, which is what I'm doing. I exercised, I got really strong after post-COVID, because I was going to get myself back and healthy. And then I get this flare, and now I feel like, oh, here we go backwards again. But it's okay. It's okay. So I learned that, you just pick it up and start over, and you'll get back. And that's the beautiful part of it all. But, so that's changed for me, in a way. Just not having the connection, I think, with my friends, that life for me has been really hard. But really, it's trying to understand the body, trying to understand what's going on, how to control this. I think that's really the biggest challenge of all this for many of us. And we just want to get back, right? Get back to ourselves.
I think it's a good thing in one way. There's a lot of people looking at their bodies holistically as a result of this. And so for me, I've got a holistic health background. I find it really encouraging that people look, because you can't just, it's not just one thing.
Right. You have to look at the whole picture.
Like,
exactly.
How do I support my body as a whole? People are asking those questions and looking for answers, and doing things that they probably wouldn't have done in the past.
Because it's one thing you can control. I mean, that's the beauty of it. It's like the one thing that you can do for yourself. Some things we can't control, and that's hard, but there are other things we can control. And so I feel like, this is the time we should, if we weren't healthy beforehand, let's start getting healthy now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was thinking of something before, and now I've forgotten it.
There you go. Story of my life.
It was there. It will come back to me.
Maybe not. It's okay.
Be empty.
Yeah, I'm with you. I get there all the time.
I know what it was. Yes.
Oh,
with the exercise. This is this is so ironic. That's how I'm treating my brain recovery.
Okay, through different exercises.
Well, it just actually working my brain. It burns. It burns. And then I go, okay, I've done enough. Stop and rest.
Yes.
And sometimes that's sleep. Sometimes that's watching Netflix, or just something entertaining.
Something, yeah,
And then I can go back and do more. And since I
right,
switched that mentality into I'm working at like muscle growth,
right,
I don't get so down about it, and I'm
right.
getting
And
further.
the nice thing what you're saying is kind of like muscles. For
Mhm,
instance, if we are going to exercise, and this is what, like, for instance, when now I'm in a flare, so I may not go downstairs and ride the bike for 30 minutes,
mhm,
but I might do 10 minutes in the morning, might do 10 in the afternoon, and then 10 in the evening. So you can break the task up
mhm,
and throughout the day, so you're better able to handle, energy conservation,
mhm,
time to heal in between. That's really important. So I think, we used to be like run, 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 get everything done. We don't have to do that. We can break this up. And guess what? If we don't finish something or we don't get it all done, it's okay.
yeah,
Yeah, it's fine. We'll be fine. But I do think the biggest thing for us with the post COVID is really listening to our bodies,
mhm,
listening to what's happening. Like when I got sick again, I knew this is COVID. It may not be new COVID, but this is whatever was there is coming back because it's exactly the same
mhm,
feeling.
yeah,
And so knowing that and going, okay, I got to forgive myself. I'm not going to be able to do what I did the week beforehand. And then I get shingles, the next week to put a damper on everything else. So we're going to hold off 2 more weeks on things. So it's just like, really we have to listen to our bodies, but we have to forgive them too,
mhm, yeah,
right? Forgive when we like aren't where we want to be,
yeah.
because we'll get there. It's just going to take a while.
And I think that's important for the healing as well, is to be gentle and
Be
accept
gentle.
and
Yeah, if your body needs sleep, sleep.
sleep. Yeah,
That's healing right there.
it is. Yep, it's part of the work, as I say. The rest is part of the work.
Yeah. I don't, that's the other thing. It's like I get maybe 4 hours of sleep. It's really frustrating.
Oh, really?
I am so exhausted, like utter fatigue, but I have insomnia, like where I can go to bed. I just get up in the middle of the night and I'm up. So it's hard because it just perpetuates this fatigue, but it's not that you
Mhm.
don't want to sleep. It's just something for some reason not letting you
Yeah.
sleep.
Well, when there's gastrointestinal upset, your melatonin production can drop because most of the
Yes.
melatonin's produced in the gut. So when there's gut
Yeah.
damage, so it could just be that you don't have, or even just that you're under so much stress that all your stress hormones are out of whack.
Yeah, I mean, we did testing and that was actually normal, which shocked me. I was like, what? I have normal cortisol?
Yeah. Was it
I
just
was,
the cortisol reading throughout the day though? Was it just like a standard how much throughout the day?
what's that?
Did you have the test? Did you test it throughout a day, or was it just
No, they just do a a.m.
that's
morning.
that's
Yeah,
not in any way. If
yeah,
you need to test it at 4 intervals throughout the day and see
yeah.
how it's going. See
Yeah.
the
And I
market.
don't know if they do that. The other
They
ironic thing
I can tell you
yeah, I mean, with
that.
COVID, you can't get into the labs anymore. You have to have an appointment. You're like 3 weeks out, to get in. And if you want to wait, it's a 2 hour wait to get in. So if you need to have like certain interval times, it'd be really, really challenging
Yeah. Oh,
to be able.
we can talk about it later, but I know labs in the US where you can do order saliva tests, and you can do them
And
at home, and then that'll give
yeah,
you a picture of what's going on.
yeah.
But yeah, it's not
Well,
mainstream. You need to know.
yeah. Yeah, until then it's wake up in the morning, 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, it's like, oh, well, it's time to get some work done, I
Okay.
guess.
Now
I
for
don't know.
the work.
Yes, that's what I do. I'm like, all right, let's get some work done. Be productive.
That's good. So, what was the strangest symptom that you've experienced?
Well, it was the loss of taste. It was only a couple days, but it was, here I am trying to eat a jalapeno chip and I couldn't taste it. And I'm like, that's weird, So that was kind of strange, but I was lucky that it only happened for about 3 days. So I would call it strange. Um, Actually wouldn't mind not tasting things because I would maybe not eat so much junk food. It's the only benefit of it, but yeah, that was probably the strangest.
Did you lose your sense of smell at the same time?
No, I did not.
Wow.
Not that I know of. I don't know. Maybe I did, but it was pretty much trapped in my room, so there wasn't much to smell other than myself.
Well, apparently there's a smell. Apparently.
Yeah.
But
Well, I know people have taste too. They'll taste like metal or they'll have certain taste in their mouth that constantly I've heard that.
That's a new one. I haven't heard that either. So many symptoms.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy.
So have you been able to find adequate support medically, mentally, and socially?
I have. I mean, there's some doctors that I can tell they don't believe that it's like a post-COVID thing, things that you're going through. But my main doctors that support me are fabulous. So I've been very lucky with that. Like I said, having a doctor, I think I was his first patient he ever diagnosed COVID without a positive test.
Mm-hmm.
And so to have him, a neurologist that understands POTS and post-COVID the best that he can, and of course my family. I mean, I have my kids and my husband, and my parents live here. So my friends support me. I am probably a little bit more extreme in a sense, where if I don't have to do something, I won't do it. If there's people are going out to dinner, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go into a restaurant, and they understand me. But it's hard. I think it's hard because I have to rely on the phone, pretty much with them. You miss it. You miss the touch and the hugs, and the up close one-on-one communication, especially women. I think women in particular. But I find myself fishing a lot, and that's safe to be on the boat in the middle of the water, right? So I go fishing with my husband, or take a boat ride, or it's just it can be a little boring. Quarantine, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
But I still work, and it's changed work quite a bit because a lot of people stopped doing elective surgeries. They didn't want to go in the hospital. So we found the caseload drop pretty significantly. So that's been difficult. They're just starting to pick up with that. And I think it's because we get snowbirds here in Florida.
What's a snowbird?
A snowbird. A snowbird is someone that lives up north that comes down to Florida in the wintertime, right? They're going to fly down from the snow, come down to Florida. And a lot of times they stay, for half the year, or maybe a couple months in Florida. And then they go back up north for the summer, which is very smart because Florida is miserable in the summer.
Well, see, we have where I am, people do that. They go north from here.
Okay.
Because I'm in a cold part of the country.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and our winters are very, well, I mean, we don't get, we do get some snow. We don't get like all out snow. There's snow in selective areas, but it's very miserable. So a lot of people go.
I mean, it was like 52 and I was freezing. I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, this is too cold. So yeah, I'm thinking, I mean, I moved to Chicago for 3 or 4 months. And as soon as that snow hit, I was like, I am out of here. It was like, okay, that's winter. That is what winter is about. It was summer was great. Summer was fabulous. Winter,
Yeah. Remember, and you acclimatize, don't you?
Yes. Definitely.
Where I'm actually from is very, very hot, and I don't know that I would survive there for any length of time now. Like I just,
yeah. And people with POTS, one of the struggles that we have is heat. It's kind of like our nemesis because, the autonomic nervous system helps to control temperature regulation. And we, especially, for instance, like whether it be hot temperature or even a hot shower, if you think about heat, dilates the blood vessels. So if we already have dilated blood vessels, like in our legs, blood's going to pool, further down into our legs. So we're more symptomatic with heat. Plus we just have a hard time regulating, our body temperature. So why I'm in Florida in the summer, I don't know. It's called air conditioning, I guess.
But were you born in Florida?
I was actually born in Ohio, but moved to Miami when I was like 4 or 5. So I've been, Miami, and then Arizona, and then California, Southern California. And then going to Chicago was like a shock, what have I done in the wintertime? So I moved back to Florida. And I'm in the northern part of Florida. It's not quite as hot, I guess, as the southern, as Miami, maybe a little bit. Our winters, we have more of a winter than South Florida, but it's still nice. Yeah, we can go to the beach still.
That's good. In winter, you mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely.
I mean, I wouldn't go in the water, but I would, yeah. I might be in like, shorts and a sweatshirt or something. But yeah, you can go to the beach. It's still beautiful.
Excellent. So what has been the scariest symptom? Did I just ask that? Did I ask the
I
strangest?
don't think we did the strangest.
The scariest.
The scariest symptom for me was my exacerbation of my POT. So having my heart rate go up, I think one time it was like 203 and standing. And I don't know many people that get their heart rate when
No.
they exercise hard so to have it go from a 50 to 203, I mean, it was scary. I didn't know what was going on. My whole body was shaking, and it was not a good feeling. It was probably my lowest point. And that happened a couple times, but you have to lie down, put your legs up in the air, get blood to come back, but I just never had anything that to that degree
I mean,
where I
how
thought
can your heart even pump that fast? Like, it's
I
crazy.
know. I know, right? It's not, and until I try to explain to somebody, it's like you're running a marathon in 30 seconds, but
Yeah.
more than. So of course you're short of breath, your whole body's quivering. It's just not a natural reaction. But it was, and a lot of people are having heart rate issues, tachycardia with COVID. That's one of some of it's heart related. And there are people that have the dysautonomia related heart, running up, but it's really the nervous system affecting the heart. So it's that was by far the hardest thing for me, with even with the cough that I had, and I'm on nebulizers and inhalers. I mean, it was terrible, but the scariest was the heart rate.
Understandable. So my son gets tachycardia, and the first few times it happened severely was terrifying. Now we just know, he just lives with it now.
Does he have, what does he have? What type of tachycardia, do you know?
Don't know.
Yeah.
By the time we went to a specialist, and this is when my son realized how the medical profession can be. This guy's meant to be the best in the world for pediatric, and he didn't even look at his, like, the test we did beforehand. The nurse said there's something going on here. We went in, he didn't even look at it. His heart rate went through the roof. Like, he's lying down I don't know, he was maybe 13, 14 at the time. His heart rate went through the roof, and he'd been in emergency with his heart rate lying down at 180.
Wow.
And the doctor looked at the specialist pediatric cardiologist, looked at him and said, "You're fit, you're young, there's nothing wrong." Nothing wrong.
Yeah.
And he wore the harness for 24 hours, and there were he looked
but
at
nothing's wrong.
Nothing wrong with you. So, and then I found out after talking to family members, it's actually a common thing in my family. I just didn't know about it.
Okay.
I've got a massive extended family, and once I found out, and so we just, he just deals with it now.
Both my kids have something called supraventricular tachycardia.
Yes. Yeah, I think
SVT.
I think that might have been what it
SVT
was, but they haven't. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it is SVT. Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and both of them had cardiac ablations when one was like 14 and one was maybe 16 years old, and they both had ablations, so they were able to ablate the electrical area that was faulty, that was causing that. And ironically, they said, well, the doctor told me, the electrophysiologist said, it's not genetic. I'm like, what? Yeah, one gets it and gets the ablation in October. The next one gets the problem in January, and we're in the hospital. So what they have to map out the heart to see where it is exactly, and it's a timely process. Well, with my son, my second child that had it done, he came back, the doctor came up in like 2 hours, and usually it's like a 10-hour event. I thought something was wrong. He went to my daughter, who had it done first. He went to her records to see where it was faulty, and went there with my son, and sure enough, that was the exact same spot.
But it's not genetic.
But it's not genetic. I was like, well, when you start that research, you call me, because we'll be happy, I'm thinking they're wrong, but hey, what do I know?
Just coincidence. Yeah.
Just a coincidence.
So I think with my son, now that he wouldn't be seen by a pediatric, he's now classified, as adult
Yeah.
care. So we sort of thought if he gets to here and it's still playing up, then we can go and see.
Yeah, you want to. I mean, when it gets to a certain point, because usually they'll put you on a medication for it, like metoprolol. They'll put you on that, and it can help control that. And for some people, they just do that. But like for my kids, they just couldn't get it under control.
Yeah.
My son's heart rate was like in the 200s. They had to stop
Yeah.
his heart for like 3 seconds. They use a medication and it to convert the heart, so because it wouldn't get in rhythm. And
Wow.
so yeah,
Wow.
it's kind of scary.
Yep.
It was scary.
Very
And both of them in 4 months. And by the way, they had to do it in 2 different calendar years with my insurance. Was not a good idea. I was like, could you at least have this done in December? Nope, January. Had to wait till January. So start all over.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Hopefully his doesn't get that bad. So
yes.
Yeah, I think, he doesn't really even talk about it much anymore. So I just said he lives with it. So
yeah.
I'll check in every now and again. It's like, yeah, no.
Yeah, hormones affect it. That's one of the things, that they find. I think that's why, like, my daughter started it right when she was like 14, and then my son, late bloomer, he was like 16 or so. So yeah, hormones can affect the heart and make that, like, kind of trigger it, so to speak.
Or changes, aren't they?
Yep.
Hormones affect everything.
Yep. That was, boy, do they. I'm going to be 50. I know about that. Yes. Oh boy.
Not 59.
Yeah, not 59. I want those 9 years.
So, what, if any, prejudice have you faced?
I think it has to do with having a negative test.
Mm-hmm.
Not having that sort of validation. People look at you like it's not true. What I'm going through isn't real because, it was negative. So I think that was probably, maybe I would call that a prejudice, out there.
I can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
I wanted a test, and that's why I wanted antibody testing, which we can't get in this country. Now I'm just, I knew from the start, I know now, my symptoms, when I first joined that group and I posted my symptoms, and the amount of people that said day to day, what happened to you happened to me. And I'm like,
Same
I
thing.
know. And that's part of the reason I'm doing this podcast, is because I didn't feel confident coming out and tell people, like my close circles know, but still a lot of people in my close inner circle think that I'm just making it up.
Yeah. And, I can say, I don't know if they think I'm making it up. I know they hear it and they see it, but I don't know if some of them think, oh, she's got post-COVID, if that's really real, but it's okay. I learned to, I know what's going on with myself. My family knows what's going on. The people that are important to me, my doctor, my doctor knows. That's really important.
So the rest is just noise.
Yeah. You just kind of learn how, at first it was like annoying, and then it became like, I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I just have to get better. That's all I want to do is get better.
Yeah. And maybe it was just a really bad cold.
Yes, maybe it was. That's lasted for 8.5 months. Well, I'll just say this. I had a doctor who said, I was coughing really bad, and like really bad. And I had videotaped the cough so they can hear what it sounds like, because it's such a unique, weird cough. I know that sounds weird, but it was very strange. And she says, oh, well, that's common after infection. Somebody can get a cold and they have this cough and it goes away in 6 months. I'm like, I'm almost at 9 months. You know what I mean? Okay. But and that's probably true, but maybe with COVID, it doesn't go away in 6 months. It can take longer. I mean, I'm still doing this, and it's been, 9 months, coming up 9 months.
And coughs
for both of us.
So annoying.
Yeah. And it's weird because I can be like, right now I'm keeping inside. I feel it. It's like right there, and I want to cough, but I won't.
You need to cough, but there's edit it out.
Yeah, I be coughing every minute. It's like right there. But there are times where it's just like, it's like a 20-minute coughing fit. It's terrible. Wow. And you feel like you're just going to, your whole insides are going to come out. It's like, what is going on? This is not a normal, this is not a cold. This is not normal in any way. But to kind of sometimes to be blown off maybe by some of the medical field when you're trying to get help,
Yeah.
and to be blown off, it's hard.
Yeah. And I think as an Australian, where we do get free healthcare, that happens to us here. It's frustrating and it's horrible and it makes you feel really bad. But I would hate to be in your country and have to pay to be blown off. Like,
Yes. Listen, I paid 17 years to doctors to blow me off for, with the POTS. I actually had one doctor tell me, this was great. I actually made a shirt with it, and I should have worn it today, actually. I think about it. It's my happy shirt. But when I asked about my treatment approach on what I was to do, I was told I needed to chill. Those were the exact words. Yeah. That was kind of my reaction inside. I was like, huh? My husband was with me. I know he was like, oh boy, here we go. And and I said, so what do you mean? And she says, well, she looks at my husband. She goes, yeah, she's a type A personality, isn't she? And I was like, excuse me? And she says, you're a go-getter. And I'm like, yeah, I am. And so I said, I'm sorry, am I supposed to, quit my job and move to the Caribbean? Is that, is that what I'm supposed to do? And she just looked at me and I got up and I left. I was like, I can't waste my time with this.
Yeah.
I need to be taken seriously. I'm here because I'm having a problem. And I normally won't see a doctor ever, but now I'm seeing a lot of them because I'm having problems.
Yeah.
So, I had a shirt made that says chill with a big rainbow on it.
I love it.
Hey, it's my happy shirt, just chill.
I got told to raise my vibration.
What were you told?
To raise my vibration.
Oh, really? And what would that do? I'm sorry.
Because it's actually just a sign of a low vibration, Corona.
Oh, well, there you go. There's the answer. That's all we need. That's a good one.
Yeah. So that was helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, bye. Yeah, but I paid for my answer.
Yes. This was free. Yes. That wasn't a doctor. That was just
Oh, okay. Okay, then it's okay.
A comment.
Okay.
Oh God, if a doctor said that to me.
Piece of advice. Yeah. Okay.
So, is there anything you found that helps you the most?
Oh, my chill shirt. Honestly, laughter, I guess, at times, there's times I want to cry. There's times I want to suck my thumb and rock in the corner of the room. And there's other times I just, you just have to laugh about where we're at and what's going on. And, so that shirt makes me happy. And I don't know, but as far as, it does, but a true technique, obviously for me, movement is really important as a physical therapist. So I would I have to move. I have to find a way to keep going because my body shuts down if I don't move, but it has to be slow. But there's not really one thing that I got that was like a huge turnaround. I know that's sad to say, but there isn't one thing. It's just kind of time, maybe.
Yeah.
Time.
Maybe a combination of things. That's what I found. So is there anything that makes you worse?
That's another thing. There's no rhyme or reason. Like why did this happen where I started with the second wave? I don't know anything that's made me particularly, it's not like I can say if I eat this or, there's just no rhyme or reason. I just feel like it's kind of weird. I feel like this virus is kind of hiding somewhere in that body. And when it wants to come out, maybe stress would be an answer to why, what can make things worse. But other than that, I haven't found any type of rhyme or reason to it.
Yeah. And they're hiding. Like I feel like it is just.
Yeah. It's like somewhere right now for me, it's in my lungs. It's just sitting there and I'm, it's just, it's crazy. And I feel what I do. And then, chest x-rays are normal, but God, it feels like it's not normal. That heaviness in there and, like something's going on. It doesn't feel normal.
I wonder if they've done any MRIs of chests.
So they refused, my insurance refused a CT. Yeah. Yeah.
I had a CT on my heart. I had a chest X-ray and a CT on my heart. Yeah.
Yeah, they refused that. So we're now, it's upper GI testing next week, and the doctor's looking for a CT, of the abdomen area to
Yeah.
see, upper GI area and stuff to see what's going on.
Hopefully it probably will come back normal.
Yes, it will. I just need to chill.
Chill pill.
Just chill.
So Rona brain, I should explain Rona brain.
Oh.
So do you know what I mean by Rona brain? That
Oh my gosh.
in Australia, we shorten everything. So it's not Corona, it's Rona. So
yeah, we call that too.
The Rona brain, yeah. So
or the fog brain.
Yeah. Do you suffer from Rona brain?
So I have suffered from Rona brain since I was probably born, but we call it something differently. Unfortunately, yes. So, I mean, it's like word finding is challenging. Simple things in front of me, and my husband will look at me, and it's really like charades. We're gonna play charades for a minute so we can figure out what word it is I'm trying to say. But I have to tell you the one story that's quite funny. So my cats have a laundry room that's their room, and at night they have beds in there, and we have a laundry, washing machine dryer. So in the morning, I'm getting ready for work, and I grab my bags of emerald almonds, and I am heading into the laundry room to take the wash out of the washing machine to put in the dryer. So I'm walking out, and I grab my bag of almonds and I ate them. Well, it happened to be Temptations cat treats. So I'm not sure what flavor it was, but I could not have spit that out quicker. I can't believe I was like, the texture is way different. I don't know what I was thinking. I had to floss my teeth like 6 times to get it out. It was the most disgusting thing. But yeah, so I was like, I just ate my cat treats, So.
Imagine if it had been when you had no flavor, like no taste buds.
I would have continued. I actually took the cat treats were red, and they looked like the same bag, just one was red and one was green. So yeah, that was probably the funniest and embarrassing. I used to eat dog food when I was a kid.
I
loved Purina dog food, and I recommend Purina dog food over Temptations cat treats. I'm just telling you, it is nasty. So. Won't be doing that again, hopefully.
Thank you for that. I shall keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind. If you had a choice, go for the dog food.
My youngest daughter used to ate cat food a few times. She just
yeah.
But she was like,
well, my mom. Yeah, I was probably that age. My mom would hide the dog food so I wouldn't eat it. I'm really embarrassed to say that, but it's okay.
I used to eat sand, so
Oh, there you go. Right? We all have our thing.
Okay, so that was the next thing. I'm funny. So in one sentence, can you describe what COVID's been like for you?
It's going to be a run-on sentence, I'm sure.
That's fine.
It's been a wild, crazy train ride in the dark. I don't know where I'm going, and I have no clue when I'm getting off.
That's an apt description.
Yeah, that's it. And it's just, you're along for the ride. I didn't buy the ticket though, by the way. I didn't buy it, but somebody gifted it to me. I didn't want this trip, but here I am.
You're going to do good with it.
I am. I will continue. Yeah.
So is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think anybody out there that's dealing with POTS from COVID, there's websites out there that they can go to. It's hard. It's a hard thing to deal with because they don't know if this is going to, if you want to call it, outgrow them, or if this is going to be lifelong, for them having this syndrome. So Dysautonomia International is a fabulous website. It's great for caregivers. It's great for the patient or the person that has POTS, and it's really good for the medical field to get out there and look. And it has a lot of easy ways to understand what it is and how to treat. I highly recommend that. Of course, my program's the Exercise with POTS program, and we'll be doing free lessons out there for people to learn how to manage their POTS. And it's just really important to have a support group. They have a great support group on Facebook also for POTS, so they can look that up. And just like we do with COVID, get involved with your community and know, there's ways that we can manage this.
Yeah.
So my heart feels terrible because here I am, I've dealt with this for, 20 years now with POTS. And so I get it, it sucks, but I get it. But for the people that are just now getting diagnosed with it and how overwhelming I think that is, it's tough. So, but there's resources out there. So I just want them to know.
So is your exercise program, would it be useful for people who just are in post-COVID syndrome on its own without any of the POTS symptoms? Or
so the program, always, like anybody, they have to get clearance from a physician, but the program is an in-home program, and it is structured over extremely slow starting cardio that you can do at home. And we do everything recumbent. And so recumbent helps our blood flow. I call it, when we stand up, our heart has to work hard. So why would I want to do an exercise, right, when the heart's working hard? So if somebody has an issue with tachycardia when they're upright, probably best to do something in recumbent position where they can use their heart rate, their heartbeats on the exercise. So I would tell somebody they have to get clearance if they have issues like cardiac issues. A lot of people have a lot of issues that are going on, lungs, everything. If their doctor wants them to exercise, it is a slow program. It's a 5-month program, but I tell people it could take them a year to finish the program. It's a self-paced program, but they follow me through videos on the exercises, and we go through the American Heart Association for heart rates, and we listen to our body, and we have an exertion scale. And so we have different ways. Yeah. So we have different ways that it's a whole way of looking at this. We have to monitor ourselves while we don't just do it. So there's a whole program on how do we monitor it? What do we look for? How do we exercise? What type of equipment are we going to use? So I have videos on recumbent bikes or rowing machines, or, I don't know if you have those little floor peddlers that you can buy online. They're little bikes that you put on the floor. Yeah, they're called a restorator or a floor peddler.
They're like the lie down bikes, but stationary ones.
It's a little portable, not very big, little pedals on a little metal stand. And basically you can get an inexpensive one. You get what you pay for a little bit, or you get, like, I have a $90 one that's a little more expensive, Amazon or wherever you can get. And you can put it in your bed. So if somebody can't even get out of bed and exercise, you can put pillows behind you and put this thing on the bed, even show a video on how to do it. And you can start in your bed very slowly. Yes. And actually, most of we start out, everything is in the bed. We start out that way because we want to strengthen, but we want to do it like efficiently and safely is the key. So, so somebody that's really struggling, but the doctor wants them to start to exercise and they don't know where to start, that might be a good choice for them to do that. Always, that chronic fatigue is very common in COVID. So we have to be really careful, because what happens is if you do a little bit too much, it'll set you back another week or two.
Yeah.
So,
that seems to be a common thing that a lot of people are struggling with, is that when you start feeling good, I mean, I did it myself, and you start feeling great and you go, excellent, I'm going to do all this stuff.
Yep. I'm going to clean my whole house. I'm going to, and then you're done. Yeah. It's really about pacing yourself. And that's what, the Exercise with POTS program is self-paced, but it is a slow-paced program. And so that saying, no pain, no gain. Well, no. If anyone ever tells you that, that's not right. You don't ever want to do anything that brings you pain. It actually should bring you joy, in my opinion. When you exercise, it should bring you joy. And the other thing to remember with exercise, it is not a quick fix. We have to give it weeks and weeks, 4 to 6 weeks before we get the benefit from it. But, if somebody doesn't know where to start and they're overwhelmed with it and they're not sure what to do, get clearance from the doctor. They're welcome to go online and look and see what some of the videos look like.
Sounds very exciting.
Yeah. It's been fun. I've actually really enjoyed it. And, I just hope I can get out there and help more people.
I'm sure you can. We're already helping people, aren't you? So
Yeah. Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
thank you very much for talking to me today.
Oh, I've had a great time, Ivy. Thank you.
It's socializing.
It is socializing. This is like the most socializing I've had in probably 8.5 months. Should have had a glass of wine with me.
I can't
Cheers.
do alcohol. No, I was,
Well,
and then I realized.
here's my sodium water.
Right.
Here's my electrolytes. Yep, there you go. Cheers.
Has it got sodium what do you call it? Bicarbonate, or is it a specific?
It is not. It's a different one. I get it from Pure Encapsulations. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah, good brand. But we have to have, gosh, if you can believe it, between like 8,000 and 12,000 milligrams of sodium a day. It's
Wow.
insane. So I can't get it through food. So I get it through.
Wow.
Yeah, I drink it, and it actually tastes pretty good. So.
Well,
that's
when you need electrolytes, anything with electrolytes in it tastes amazing.
Well, yeah, and then Gatorade, the sports drinks, they have so much sugar.
And other stuff in them. They got all sorts.
So many things. Yes, artificial. Yes, and so I really try to discourage people from, the basic sport drink. There's other products out there that would be better source of electrolyte.
Even coconut water.
Yeah, coconut water is actually pretty good. Yeah, we use that quite a bit. The nice thing when what I use has about, oh gosh, I want to say it's around 800 milligrams of sodium a glass, and I drink about 3 liters a day. So yeah, it's crazy how much we have to drink, and sodium, and the exercise, and the compression hose, and and try to get a man to wear a compression hose, right? No, but they can use like biker shorts, compression biker shorts. So there's some pretty neat things out there you can wear and help. But yeah, we do that. We wear our compression when we exercise. That's fun too. Nice and hot. Yeah.
Especially in Florida.
Florida. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to stop recording now, but we can chat a little bit if you like.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate that. It's been fun.
It has been fun.